Thanks for being here. Before we get started on football, I didn't realize you're in a cocoon and tied up in training camp about the issues going on in Houston and their surrounding areas. So I called Sheffield's family today, and they're locked up, they're safe. I tried to reach out to Grable and they didn't get me back yet, but they say Luke Fickle told me he's in Dallas area, so our thoughts and prayers to them. And it's one thing when it's on TV, it's another thing when you talk to a family that's locked up in their homes right now. And Kendall, I spoke to him last night and this morning to his family. So just everybody keep them in your thoughts and do all you can do to help. With that said, I'll answer any questions for you.
We'll open up on the far right here, Clay.
Are you curious to find out, or do you know who is the guy, the receiver, who can take the top off the defense, as they say?
Yeah, this is as much depth as we've had. I can't tell you the guy. I can tell you 6 people that will play on a pure rotation basis. That's how much confidence we have in them. And we have 6. At the X, it's going to be Ben Victor and Austin Mack. At the H, it's Paris and KJ Hill, and it's Aziz Terry and Johnny Dixon. So there's 6 in the rotation.
When you go one-on-one, were you as good as you were in the spring with the deep ball?
Yeah, remains to be seen throughout camp we were, but we'll find out in a few days.
Far left, front row, Lori.
Coach, how many of your true freshmen made the travel roster this week?
I don't have it. I think we'll release that today or tomorrow or something.
That's the 2 deep, but I'm talking about the travel roster. You said Grimes was on the cusp. Are you bringing Tate?
Tate is making it. Tate will make it. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but
Did Grimes make it?
on the cusp.
Harris?
What's cusp mean on the edge? What's that?
Jalen Harris?
Cusp, edge,
Kuda?
on it. Are we gonna go here for a while?
You do have quite a few. Wade?
On it.
White?
On it.
Davis? Myers and
Wyatt Davis.
White.
Cusp.
Munford?
On it.
Gardner?
Next.
Thank you.
Front row left, Doug.
Urban, where you guys were when you walked off the field after the Clemson game, how much did you think to yourself, how much better we need to get by the time we play our next game, and where you stand right now, did you do what you wanted to do?
We get evaluated and tested here in a few days, but that thought was exactly what I was thinking. And what I had to do as the head coach to make sure we head in that direction. So I feel very comfortable with the progress made, to say I'm confident that I'm just kind of a warrior and make sure that we're covering everything that it takes to win a game. And it's very clear around here what it does. It's power the unit, 9 strong. It's follow our plan to win, and it's from that point forward last week with the challenge when I have to work the game constantly, which I think we do as well as anybody. So those are how you go win a game, and that's our focus right now.
And the difference between getting your team ready to play a game for an opener off of camp as opposed to getting ready to play in week 8 when you're in the midst of the season, how big are the differences? What is it easier or harder? Because you're playing a conference opponent at home.
Right.
This is a tough
Much different, especially when you have some newbies, some new, first time they're in it. And last year was very alarming because our whole team was new. This year's a little more comfort because guys have been in the environment before. This is a whole different set of circumstances because it's on the road in a Big Ten game. But we practice as such, and like I said, Billy Price is snapping a ball to JT every play as long as they stay healthy, and that's a little more comforting.
Front row middle, Dave.
Calling the parents of players who have earned starting jobs has become a big thing around here. I'm just curious, what was the genesis of that idea? I know last year with Mike Weber, it kind of went viral with Tony Alford calling him. And can you talk about some of the guys like Austin Mack and Bowen and some of those guys, Dixon, that have earned starting roles this year?
Well, I've done that for a while myself, and it's all started when when my daughters were playing college sports, and my son will go do it. I just think that's one of the coolest things in the world to say. Because quite often you get a phone call from a parent, you have to call a parent because something stupid happened or something. I just try not to do that. I like having a relationship with the families, and our coaches should have those relationships. It's not always, why are they calling us? Hey, congratulations, your son made it. And it's kind of taken off here. Plus, it's a good thing.
Looking at the Indiana game, when an opposing defense comes out with something you're not expecting to see from an offensive standpoint, can you describe the difficulty of making in-game adjustments, maybe compared to some of the other things you have to handle as a head coach? Like, how difficult is it to make in-game adjustments?
It depends on the maturity of number one, your quarterback, number two, your offensive line. If there's a bunch of wide-eyed guys out there that they're just trying to survive, but when you have some experience and your coaching staff is well-oiled and on the same page, it's not that difficult. And it depends what the adjustment is. If it's a completely different front, like happened to us in the national championship game in '08, and what happened to us against Virginia Tech in 14, that's a tough deal now because you've never practiced it. But we've also learned a lesson. We will always practice those, even if it's just a little bit.
Front row right, Austin.
Urban, we've heard you mention a lot over the last couple of years that 250 goal that you want for your offense. How long have you used that as sort of the standard, and why is 500 total yards and that 50-50 split there? What makes that important?
It was day one, 2001. That was our goal, to be a balanced team, and history shows that balanced teams win. Imbalanced teams usually fail at some point, and that's just been our target. We've hit it a few times, and that's a very aggressive goal, obviously, but that's what we try to do.
Is it hitting those numbers important, or just having the threat of being able to do
The threat, because teams play a certain way. If you can't function in the throw game, they're going to stop you. And if you can't function in the run game, you can probably get
Front row right, Bill.
It's a little bit like Doug's question, but every season is a mystery, every team is a mystery. Is it a little less so this year because you have those veterans, or are there still a lot of questions in your mind about what this team's going to be?
Yeah, I think anytime you lose those 6 juniors to the NFL draft, those 6 guys are back, we wouldn't have much of a, we have a pretty good handle on what you have. When people like that leave, you got, your secondary a little bit, I don't know if I use the term a mystery, but unknown. But that's why you practice so hard, so.
And Brandon Bowen is listed as a starter. What did he do to earn the job? How good do you feel about him right now?
Good. He's the most improved guy and one of the most improved players on our team. It's something that something clicked with him about in the early summer. I heard it from Coach Mick. I saw it, and then it really wasn't that close, to be honest with you. Burrell was very close to him. But Bowen did a very nice job.
Third row left, Dan.
You named 9 captains for the season. Some people would say that's a lot of captains. What went into having that many captains? Just that there's that many guys who are qualified for the role?
That is a lot. I remember when Mike Vrabel was here, was in our staff meeting, and he mentioned that he was not elected captain, which blew my mind. And it's because whatever reason, once again, it's none of my business back then, but it's because they limited it to 3 or 4. And I would kept thinking to myself, there's been a couple years, I think we had 5 or 6 guys that I just think. And he made the comment to me, I wasn't named captain, but I was still a captain. I'm thinking, that's one of the greatest honors you can ever have. Why would you ever take that from a guy that's deserving? And so I've always moved, since that conversation I had with him, whoever deserves is going to be captain. And be on the wall, down the hallway, and everybody known on your resume as a captain of the Ohio State University football program. It's pretty strong.
And just those guys in general, what makes each of them, guys that are worthy of that honor?
That's who I would have picked, and I'm glad the voting of our team correlated with what I would have picked. So you have to ask our players, but if you ask me, it's the maturity, it's the leadership, it's the toughness, that all the things we expect. It started in January that those guys, all 9 of those guys have been solid all the way through.
Second row left, Ari.
Urban, I know that you guys are recruiting the best high school athletes in the country across the board. And in high school, those best athletes typically play both ways regardless of, what position they play, because they're the best athletes on the field. I'm wondering, how much do you guys pay attention to how your kids that are committed are used? And to make up like a fake example, what if like your quarterback was used as a linebacker in a goal line situation and is busting through an offensive line and making a tackle with his shoulder? Are there things that, bother you? Do you ever talk to a high school coach about it once they're committed? And
Yeah, I think I know where you're going. I personally do not. We follow very closely though, because there's an expectation of you know, sometimes people think they're committed and they don't, you know, they just shut her down for the team. You know, we'll eventually try to walk away from that player too. That's, you know, that's why our relationship with high school coaches is so strong. So it's been not a you know, I've never been in that situation where you say, why are you doing that with it? I don't think I'd ever do that. However, I have called coaches before and said that, you know, is this guy doing everything that we all agree that he should do? Is he going to class? Is he being a great teammate? Is he, because I think that's, you know, I think that's, I never want to see it turn into, oh, I got my scholarship, I'm going to shut her down. You know, those aren't the players we're looking for.
Quarterback is obviously a different value. You have to value it because you're only getting one class. If the quarterback is playing defense and hitting people with his throwing shoulder, is that ever a concern for you?
No, I actually love that. That means he's a tough cat. I think I know where you're headed. I saw it.
One other thing too, is there an update? Yeah, it was a good hit. Do you guys have finalized or have an idea of what's up with Mike Hill? Is it an NCAA suspension? Is it one that you guys
We know
enforce?
what's up, and I'll at some point let you know.
Fourth row right, Nick.
You're in a situation this year now where between now and the new signing period, you're actively preparing for a game from now until then. How much different does your time management have to be this time?
I don't quite know. Because of the early signing period, no difference whatsoever. That's all Mark, his staff, just making sure, you know, we haven't really discussed it, you know, other than when that time starts to come, get the paperwork out, send it in and go.
Do you have to maybe speed up your recruiting with the 19 kids at all because you have to do more in-season now?
I think that's coming. I think it's happening. I can't stand it, but that's part of what's happened here in the last few years. And this early signing date will have an impact. And what will really have an impact is the early visits next year. That will, once again, not a big fan of that at all, but you got to do what you got to do.
Front row right, Tim.
Yeah, Urban, number one, what is the one thing that you've definitely seen, not one thing, but maybe a couple things you've definitely seen JT Barrett get better at from day one to day now, whatever this is, of camp, and that he needed to get better at, in your opinion?
Continued development of his accuracy and his relationship and timing with the wideouts. You know, to say that he mastered our offense, and he's done that quite a while ago.
Yeah.
It's just the timing, the execution, and the trust. You know, when you see a quarterback taking more than one hitch, and you know, I'm just giving you some technical stuff, you see him on a play that's designed 1, 2, 3 hitch and deliver the ball, and he takes 2 hitches, it's because he doesn't really trust what that guy's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, that's what I've seen improve.
Mike Weber, is he 100%? How would you classify his status?
He's very close. I'll know more today, but he's close.
Is there a chance J.K. Dobbins could start the game? I mean, or is it that kind of situation?
I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
But I'll know more today.
And the other last thing, y'all got approved for a $7.8 million improvement to the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. I'm not saying where does this stop, but what is the need? What is the reason for continuing to expand the facility, which
That's
already seems
twofold.
to be a pretty
I
good
think
facility?
everyone knows the answer. It's twofold. Number one is that we expect that Ohio States of the world and the elite programs, which we are, expect to have the very best for the welfare of student athletes. A lot of that, what we're doing is not as much bells and whistles, but it's actual welfare about the health and safety of our guys, making sure it's the best of the best of the best. And then there is the fact that they're recruiting. And we don't, you know, our athletic director and administration don't shy away from that. And we expect to go, when you go recruit someone, we don't need obstacles, we need advantages. And I'm so proud to say that our administration and our staff have been perfect alignment on that. And not silly stuff, but if it's gonna make a difference. Number one is it's gotta be perfectly clear, it's about the college experience of the player that comes here. That's why I think the retention is so good here. I think that's why our guys perform in the classroom so well. That's why they, like I would say, relatively healthy, because not one time have I got a Gene Smith that say, you know, this is in the best interest of a player. The answer has always been yes.
Back row middle, Steve.
Yeah, Coach, a couple guys I wanted to ask about who seemed like they were in the mix early in camp. Justin Hilliard.
He's in the mix. No, he's in the mix. He's done. He's got to earn his stripes on the kicking game. So you're going to see him. I want to believe he's at least started on 1, maybe 2 kicking. But he's his last 2 weeks been very strong.
And Josh Myers looked like he was in the 2 deep early.
Yeah, he's got a ways to go, but he's glad he's a Buckeye. He's gonna be a great player. He's got a ways to go.
Is there anybody you ruling out in this game that you figured you normally have, just because of injuries or whatever? Or you seem pretty healthy?
I think we're pretty good.
And final question, front row left. Bill?
Urban, with Brandon winning the guard battle, it just seems like for the second year in a row, you've had some guards, guys at that position who've been in the program for a while who didn't win a job when it was available. Is there any part of that that's, I don't know, disappointing to you? And then I guess what does it mean for guys like Demetrius Knox and Matt Burrell that Brandon is the starter there?
Well, it's the obvious, and that's when you have to move someone, or you take a true freshman in here and you move like they did last year, that the pressure's on and there's an expectation level that we have of you. There's certainly no one counting anyone out because this is a long season. We've had great storylines throughout the program's history and even recent history of guys that were beaten out and then came back. And you know, Stevie Miller is one of the great stories of college football. Darryl Baldwin, I can give you many more, that just kept swinging, and bang, he's in the game. So, yeah, we're not giving up on anybody.
And was there any, I don't know if trepidation is the right word, but even if Brandon was playing well, was there any thought that maybe you won't start him just because of the hit that could give to your tackle depth, being he was the backup?
There was.
Right?
Thayer Munford is really good. I mean, has done a nice job, but those concerns are there. And but you also got to get your first five in there.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.